Picture this. You're scrolling through NASA's latest photos from the International Space Station, and something feels wrong. Earth looks stunning, the moon is crystal clear, but where the hell are all the stars? I mean, shouldn't space be absolutely packed with glittering diamonds against that inky black void? Yet photo after photo shows nothing but darkness where we expect to see the Milky Way in all its glory. Before you start thinking NASA is running some cosmic Photoshop conspiracy, let me blow your mind with the real reason, and trust me, it's way cooler than any conspiracy theory. What you're about to discover will completely change how you look at every space photo, every moon landing footage, and even challenge what you think you know about how cameras work. Buckle up, because we're about to solve one of space photography's most misunderstood mysteries. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at the night sky the same way again. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or should I say, the missing stars in space. When Apollo astronauts first walked on the moon, conspiracy theorists had a field day. "Where are the stars?" they screamed. "This must be fake." Even today, every single photo from the ISS, every spacewalk, every Mars rover selfie shows the same thing. A star-free sky that looks more like a black bedsheet than the cosmic light show we see from Earth. Here's where it gets really weird. Astronauts themselves report seeing more stars in space than we can see from Earth, not fewer. Neil Armstrong described space as being filled with stars everywhere you looked, yet his camera captured exactly 0 of them. Chris Hadfield, everyone's favorite space tweeting astronaut, talks about being overwhelmed by the brilliance of stars during his ISS missions. Yet his photos? Star-free zone. This isn't some technical malfunction or NASA cover-up. It's actually revealing something fundamental about how light works that most people never think about. The answer lies in understanding something every photographer knows, but most space enthusiasts completely overlook. Here's where things get absolutely fascinating, and I promise this will make you appreciate both your eyes and cameras in a whole new way. Your eyeballs are basically biological cameras, but they work completely differently than the digital cameras NASA uses. When you're in a dark room and your eyes adjust, your pupils dilate like crazy, your retina becomes super sensitive, and your brain does some incredible image processing magic. This whole process takes about 20 to 30 minutes to reach maximum sensitivity. It's called dark adaptation, and it's why you stumble around like a zombie when you first turn off the lights. But after half an hour, you can navigate your room like a ninja. Now, astronauts in space have this same superpower cranked up to 11 because there's no atmospheric light pollution. Their dark-adapted eyes can see stars, so clearly it's like someone turned on a cosmic Christmas light display. But here's the kicker: cameras don't have biological dark adaptation. They have something called exposure settings, and this is where the plot thickens like a good space thriller. When a camera is set to capture bright objects like Earth, the moon, or a shiny space station, it's like having pupils that are permanently squinted shut. Those faint stars simply don't have enough light to register on the sensor. Let me paint you a picture that'll make this crystal clear. And trust me, once you get this, you'll feel like you've unlocked a secret level in understanding space photography. Imagine you're trying to take a photo of someone holding a candle while standing next to a massive stadium floodlight. Your camera has to choose: expose for the person and the floodlight, making them visible but the candle flame completely washed out, or expose for the candle flame, making the person disappear into darkness but the flame beautifully visible. There's no middle ground that captures both perfectly. In space photography, Earth is that stadium floodlight, reflecting sunlight like a massive mirror ball, while stars are those tiny candle flames. The brightness difference is absolutely mind-boggling. We're talking about billions of times brighter. The sunlit side of Earth reflects so much light that cameras have to use fast shutter speeds and small apertures. That's like squinting really hard to avoid completely overexposing the photo into a white blob. At these camera settings, stars simply don't have enough time to imprint themselves on the sensor. It's like trying to hear a whisper at a rock concert. The whisper is there, but it's completely drowned out by the overwhelming volume of everything else. Now let's tackle the moon landing photos head on, because this is where conspiracy theories love to party, but the science is actually beautifully straightforward. The moon's surface is incredibly reflective. Think fresh snow on a sunny day levels of brightness. When the Apollo astronauts were bouncing around in their white spacesuits on this reflective surface, with the sun blazing overhead in an airless sky, their cameras were dealing with an absolutely brutal lighting situation. The camera settings needed to capture clear images of the astronauts, the lunar lander, and the moon's surface required such fast exposures that stars didn't stand a chance. But here's the really cool part that proves these photos are real. The lighting and shadows are absolutely perfect for the conditions described. If these were filmed on a movie set, you'd need lighting equipment more powerful than anything that existed in the 1960s to create that kind of harsh, parallel shadow effect you see in every Apollo photo. The absence of stars isn't evidence of fakery, it's evidence of authentic space photography dealing with real lighting conditions. Even more convincing, when modern space agencies recreate these lighting conditions in simulations, they get exactly the same results. Perfectly clear foreground subjects and perfectly black, starless skies. Let's bring this mystery into the modern era with International Space Station, because this is where things get really interesting and you can actually verify this yourself. The ISS orbits Earth every 90 minutes, which means it experiences 16 sunrises and sunsets every single day. Talk about the ultimate light show. During the daylight portions of orbit, the station is bathed in unfiltered sunlight. Remember, no atmosphere to dim it. And Earth below is reflecting light like a massive mirror. Try to photograph stars under these conditions, and you'll get exactly what every ISS photo shows: beautiful shots of Earth, clear details of the space station, and zero stars. But here's where it gets awesome. Astronauts take photos of stars, and they're absolutely spectacular. When the ISS is on the night side of Earth, and astronauts can shield their cameras from Earth's reflected light, and they use long exposure settings, sometimes 15 to 30 seconds. They capture star fields that are so stunning they make our best Earth-based astronomy photos look amateur. Chris Hadfield's star photography from space shows the Milky Way in detail that's impossible to capture from Earth because there's no atmospheric distortion. The difference isn't that stars aren't there, it's all about when and how you photograph them. Let's get nerdy for a minute, because understanding camera settings will make you see every space photo like a professional photographer. And this knowledge is genuinely useful for your own photography too. Every camera has three main settings that control how much light reaches the sensor. Shutter speed, how long the camera's eye stays open. Aperture, how wide the camera's pupil opens. And ISO, how sensitive the sensor is to light. For typical space photography of bright objects, cameras use settings like 1/125th of a second shutter speed, a narrow aperture like f/8, and low ISO like 100. These settings are perfect for capturing details in bright subjects without overexposing them into white blobs. But stars need the opposite: long exposures, 15 to 30 seconds, wide apertures, f/2.8 or wider, and high ISO, 1600 or more. It's literally impossible to use settings that properly expose both bright space objects and dim stars simultaneously. This is why astrophotographers on Earth use specialized techniques like HDR, high dynamic range, imaging, where they take multiple photos at different exposures and blend them together, or they use telescopes with tracking mounts that can follow stars during long exposures. NASA could absolutely do this for space photos, but most of their photography is focused on documenting missions, equipment, and Earth, not creating artistic star field compositions. Here's the final nail in the conspiracy theory coffin, and this is where the science gets absolutely beautiful, because it reveals just how authentic all space photography really is. If NASA or any space agency wanted to fake photos, adding stars would be the easiest thing in the world, literally a 30-second Photoshop job that any teenager with basic editing skills could pull off. The fact that they don't add stars actually proves the photos are authentic, because real space photography under these lighting conditions wouldn't show stars. Moreover, the physics of light and photography that explains the missing stars is the same physics that explains every other aspect of these photos: the harsh shadows, the contrast, The way materials look in unfiltered sunlight, and the way light reflects off the lunar surface or Earth's atmosphere. Every single detail is consistent with the lighting conditions described, which would be impossible to fake convincingly. Even more compelling, when independent space agencies from different countries, with very different political motivations, all produce photos with exactly the same characteristics, it becomes clear that this is simply how space photography works. The missing stars aren't a mystery to be solved, they're evidence that space photography follows the same laws of physics as Earth-based photography, just under more extreme conditions. So the next time someone points to a space photo and asks, "Where are the stars?" you can blow their mind with the real answer. The stars are absolutely there, blazing more brilliantly than we can see from Earth, but cameras can't capture faint starlight when they're busy photographing objects billions of times brighter. This isn't a NASA conspiracy, it's basic photography physics that you can test yourself with any camera and a bright light source. Understanding this doesn't just solve a space mystery. It opens up a whole new appreciation for the incredible engineering challenges of space photography and the remarkable adaptability of human vision. The universe is more amazing when you understand how it actually works, not less. If this blew your mind, wait until you see my next video about why you can't see the Great Wall of China from space, another myth that the real science destroys beautifully. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're just getting started on busting space myths with actual science. And trust me, reality is way cooler than any conspiracy theory.